Hello, all you martial artists at heart, martial artists at sternum. So yeah, very close to martial artists at heart. And a special howdy to all you cross-dressing Amish soccer moms. You know who you are. Today I'm going to tell you how to turn on old Mrs. Kravitz. Last time I talked about the difference between studying and practice. Remember last time I defined studying as making the unconscious or automatic conscious. Practice is just the opposite of that, making the conscious automatic or unconscious. Sure, easy to say, but is it easy to do? Well, it will be after I tell you what I got to tell you. You know, after I make it up. I mean, I don't mean I have to make it up. I mean, it may not seem like these little chats are scripted, but boy, these are really planned out well. I mean, before I start, I know what I want to say. I just don't know how I want to say it. So here's a little insight on how I make these videos. I just kind of ramble on at the camera for hours. Then I go back and watch it all and look for the good stuff. And there never is any good stuff. So I usually just go back and try and pick out the parts where I'm not touching my nose or sneezing or you know, trying to think of the right word. Let's talk about studying. How do you get into studying mode? As I implied earlier, oh, can't use that one, touch my nose. As I implied earlier, can't use that one. As I implied earlier in the cold intro, the way you get into study mode is to turn on old Mrs. Kravitz. You know, and when I say turn on Mrs. Kravitz, I don't mean get her excited or, you know, stimulated. I mean you want to wake her up, make her alert. So who's Mrs. Kravitz? Mrs. Kravitz was that neighbor lady. The old widow Kravitz lived across the street. She was the one that watched everything. 24 hours a day. She'd pull back that curtain, be peeking out. She'd be the one if your kid threw a rock at a squirrel or your dog pooped on her lawn, she'd call the police. She saw everything and she was critical. Now we all have a Mrs. Kravitz in our brain. It's the part of your brain that witnesses stuff. How do you know you're thinking? Because when you're thinking, there's another part of your brain watching the part of your brain that's thinking. That's Mrs. Kravitz. And that's also the part of the brain that calls you an idiot.
You're doing it wrong. You're not good enough. That's not right. Did you hear me? That's not right. Wrong! I'm calling the police. Wait till your mother gets home.
Right, we all have a part of our brain that watches us and tells us we're doing it wrong. Usually that's a bad thing because it tears down our confidence, keeps us from doing things. But you know, that critical part of us serves a purpose, and we can use it to help us improve. What we can do is we can work on our technique, maybe a single technique, maybe a series of techniques, maybe kata. We can turn on an old Mrs. Kravitz. That just sounds so wrong. And she will watch every movement, everything we do, and monitor our feelings. Things feel right? Does everything look right? Is our body aligned? And not only will she tell us when they're wrong, she'll call the police. I don't even know what that means. She'll tell us what's wrong, what we're doing wrong, why it's wrong. And when she tells us that, we can try it again and fix it. And if we don't fix it quite right, she'll let us know again.
Idiot! No! Wrong! Try it again. If dumb was currency, you'd be the Federal Reserve. Idiot! Calling the police.
So basically, that's all you have to do to study. Turn on... yeah, turn on the widow Kravitz.
Hey, baby, those portholes are hot. Hot.
In other words, as you perform your movements, turn on your total awareness. Turn on all of your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? Especially, what do you feel? Do your movements ultra slow so you can observe every part of the movement. You can break it down. You can look for flaws. And then do your movements as quickly as you can. Just all out, total speed. 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 All out, total speed. All out, total speed. All out, total speed. But keep paying attention to what you're doing. And you won't be able to catch everything, but you will find the points where you have stall points, or where you lose your balance, or where you feel clumsy, or where it doesn't work smoothly. And when I say you, I mean Mrs. Kravitz will find them for you.
Ah!
Starting tonight, go turn on Mrs. Kravitz. Can't use that one. So until next time, don't eat Mexican food and stand next to a fire. Don't eat Japanese food at all. At all. Always seek peace and that's all, folks. Bye.